MJL. Welcome to MJL Review and Training Services. In this video, I will be walking you through some expressions in English which you thought you have been using correctly, but not quite yet, to be honest. So let me begin with the first expression. And that expression involves the word regard. You may have heard people say, with regards to, and with regard to. And then you will ask, which one is correct? Is it the with regards to or the with regard to? The correct expression, guys, is with regard to. The regard there has no S. What does that mean? The expression with regard to. It means about, or which is about. So if we use that in the sentence, we say, with regard to your request, I regret to inform you that we cannot grant it this time. So with regard is the correct expression. Another expression involving regard is the expression in regard to. You may have heard in regards to spoken by people. And then you ask, which one is correct? Is it in regard to or in regards to? Correct expression, guys, is in regard to. What about the meaning? Is that the same as with regard to? Yes, they are just the same. So, in regard to is the correct expression, not in regards to. So, let me use that in a sentence. In regard to your request, I regret to inform you that we cannot grant it this time. So, in regard to is the correct expression. Another expression is as regards. As regards, notice that when you use the expression beginning with as, your regard here has S. So, as regards. But you will not see the word to, unlike with or in as your beginnings, when regard will be followed by to. If it begins with as, your regard will have S. So, as regards. But you will not see the word to. Okay? Following regards. So, you will just say, as regards your request, I regret to inform you that we cannot grant it this time. So, let me summarize. If you use with and in, with regard, you will not have S in your regard, but you will have to. So you say, with regard to, but if your beginning is as, your regard will have S. So you will say, as regards, but you will not use the word to. Okay? So remember that. Another expression which you may have heard involving regard is the word regardless or irregardless. So which one is correct? The correct expression, guys, is regardless. You do not say irregardless because that's double negative. Okay? And it doesn't exist. Okay? But I hear many people say irregardless. Yeah, you heard them. But it doesn't mean that because you heard them, the expression is right. So, the correct expression, guys, is regardless. So, you say, regardless of the student's background, they are treated equally. That's the correct expression. It would be wrong if you say, irregardless of the student's background, they are treated equally. Okay? Remember, irregardless is double negative. It doesn't exist. What exists is the word regardless. Okay? Remember that. Another expression that we will learn is in lieu of. Many people confuse in lieu of with in view of. I always see this in writing. And even in speaking, I hear people say, in view of or in lieu of when they want to mean in view of. So they interchange. Now, let me differentiate now the meaning of in lieu of and in view of. When we say in lieu of, what we mean there is in the absence of. That's the meaning. Or instead of. I repeat, in lieu of means in the absence of or instead of. In view of means with this in mind or having said that. That's the meaning. So you do not confuse the meaning of in lieu of for in view of or the other way around. Okay? So I repeat, in lieu of means in the absence of or instead of. In view of means with this in mind or having said that. Let's use them in a sentence. No? Now here, in lieu of is used in this example. In lieu of the section head, the secretary came to hand over the donation. In lieu of means in the absence of in this sentence. So we are using it right. In the second example, in view of this, may I request that you notify the office immediately. So in view of here is meaning having said that. So you say, having said that or in view of this, may I request that you notify the office immediately. So that is correctly used. Okay? So remember, if you want to mean that in the absence of or instead of, use in lieu of. If you want to mean having this in mind or having said that or with this in mind, then you use in view of. Okay? So there should be no confusion between in lieu of and in view of expressions. Moving on. People ask me, which one is correct? In reference to or with reference to? This is usually seen in writing. And also in speaking, this can be used. So is it in reference to or with reference to? The answer there is both are correct. Okay? Both are correct. So, in this example, in reference to paragraph 1, I believe correction needs to be done regarding the number of attendees. So, that expression in reference to can be replaced by with reference to, and the meaning is just the same. Okay? So, both in reference to and with reference to are correct. They can be used interchangeably. Alright? Now, the expression in behalf and on behalf. I always get questions like, which one is correct? Is it in behalf or on behalf? Now, both are correct, depending on the meaning. Okay? So, let's define now, or let's get the meaning of in behalf and on behalf so that we can use that appropriately in the sentence. So when you say in behalf, the meaning of that expression is for the benefit of. I repeat, in behalf means for the benefit of. So if you use that in a sentence, and that expression in behalf means for the benefit of it, that's the meaning that you would like to convey, then you are using it right. Okay? So let's have this example. We put up a fundraiser in behalf of the street children. Let's replace in behalf with for the benefit of, and let's examine if it makes sense in that sentence. We put up a fundraiser for the benefit of the street children. In this example, in behalf is meaning for the benefit of, or it has the same meaning as for the benefit of. So therefore, our in behalf is correctly used in this sentence. Okay? I repeat, in behalf is used to mean for the benefit of. What about on behalf? On behalf, the expression on behalf means in place of, instead of, in the absence of. Recall that in lieu of, they have the same meaning. Okay? So, if in the sentence on behalf is used to mean that instead of, in the absence of, or in place of, then you're using it correctly. So let's have this example. The assistant regional director gave a speech on behalf of the director. Let's replace on behalf with instead of in place of, or in the absence of. So you say, the assistant regional director gave a speech in the absence of the director. In that context, it makes sense. That means you are correctly using on behalf. So I repeat, both expressions in behalf and on behalf are correct expressions depending on their use. If you want to mean that for the benefit of, then in behalf. If you want to mean instead of, or in the absence of, or in place of, then on behalf. Okay? So that's it. Now the expressions fill out, fill in, fill up. So these expressions also are confusing, and I received so many questions about these expressions. So let's define now each, no? Fill out, fill in, fill up. Let me begin with fill out. What do you mean by fill out? The expression fill out means complete a form or document. Okay? So for example, in a sentence, fill out the declaration form before you disembark. So again, fill out the declaration form before you disembark. This one, the declaration form is to be completed, so the correct expression is fill out. But what is commonly used in your setting or in our context? Probably you say fill up, right? So fill up could be ringing often, probably in your offices, in schools, or in your own situation or in your own setting. But please know now that if you want to mean that the form is to be completed or the document is to be completed, then you use the expression fill out. So you say, fill out the declaration form before you disembark. Okay? Fill out. Now, fill in. What does fill in mean? It means temporarily replace someone who is unable to do his or her job at that time, or to fill the void. That's the meaning of fill in. I repeat, fill in could mean temporarily replace someone who is unable to do his or her job at that time, or you can just say fill the void or fill the gap. So for example, she came from another agency to fill in the position. Fill in. Okay, then we have fill up. Fill up. This expression means make something become. I repeat, make something become full. So for example, if you have a glass, okay, you fill it up. If you have a bucket, you fill it up. Okay, so in this sentence, fill up this glass with water. The expression is fill up. You don't say fill out this glass with water. Okay? Or you don't say fill in this glass with water. The most appropriate or the appropriate expression to be used is fill up. Okay? I hope we're learning. So I hope I have differentiated fill out. So if it's a form, if it's a registration form, if it's an enrollment form, you say fill out. Fill in, if there's a gap, if there's a blank, if there's a void, you fill in. If you mean to make it full, then you say fill up. Okay? The last pair of expressions that we will learn would be despite and in spite of. Which one is correct? Despite or in spite of? Both are correct. Okay, and both have the same meaning. They denote a sense of contrast, or both link contrasting ideas. These are prepositional expressions. Okay, and as they are, they can be found at the beginning of a sentence, in the middle, and sometimes, or rarely, these can be seen at the end of the sentence. So the most common use of both expressions would be at the beginning or in the middle of a sentence. So now, look at the form. If you say despite, you're not seeing a preposition of there. You do not say despite of. You will just use despite. So it could be despite the, despite his, despite her, despite its. So it will not be followed by the preposition of. But when you have the expression in spite, that's when you will see of. So in spite of, that's the whole expression, in spite of, okay? Despite will not have of. In terms of meaning, I repeat, they are just the same, okay? They denote contrast. So let's use them in a sentence. Despite the protest, the person is retained. Notice that after my word despite, you don't see of there. But in the second example, in spite of the protest, the person is retained. In spite of, okay? In spite of here is the expression which can be replaced by despite. Because as what I have mentioned, they mean the same. So remember, despite will not have of, in spite will have of. So despite, in spite of, they are the same in meaning and they are interchangeable. Okay? So those are the expressions that we learned today. I hope that if you had misconceptions before, or if you used the expressions wrongly before, now you will use them and you will apply what you have learned today so that you can improve your speaking and your writing. Okay? So I hope you learned a lot, or I hope you learned something from this video. I will talk more about expressions in the next videos, guys. So thank you very much for watching. I'll see you in my next video. Bye! Thanks for watching. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up and consider subscribing. Yes, don't forget to hit that tiny bell so you will be notified of my next video. See you in my next video, guys. Bye!